and welcome to our second summer reading activity. Today we're going to be doing some basic crochet skills so that you can make a small blanket. And the idea behind this is that we would then donate them to the animal shelter. This one is more of a long blanket. You could do more of a square shaped one, but just something small that we can donate at the end of the summer. We'll collect them all summer, so if you enjoy doing this and want to make some more or teach some friends how to do it, we're going to do a really simple stitch that's nice and tight, so we don't have to worry about the animals getting caught in them or anything like that. And the yarn you're going to be using is a washable yarn, so they'll be able to throw them in the washer and dryer. As we get closer to winter, you know, it'll be nice, and plus it gives them something homey and soft. Now you should, just so you'll know, your kit should have your yarn. It should have a crochet hook, a small plastic needle, and also I'm going to give you, it looks like a flosser, but it's not. I'll show you what that's for. And you'll also have some papers in your kit. And we'll go over some of those as we go. You may also want to grab on your own a pair of scissors, obviously, and a tape measure so that you can decide kind of what size you want to do. You might be wondering, why did we choose to do this? Well, with tails and tails, our focus is animals, obviously. And you know, the animals that are at the shelter could definitely use something nice, and blankets is something that can be donated often. So obviously they have other needs. You can go to their website for the Guilford County Animal Shelter, and they have a list of the things that they could use, and they also have an Amazon shopping list, wish list. But just to let you know, you may think, oh, you know, do they really need blankets? Do they need that many? You know, that sort of thing. Just for May of this year, they took in 283 stray animals. They had 124 owner surrenders, 163 adoptions, 83 transfers, and 56 animals were returned to their homes. So that just kind of gives you an idea. They've got a lot of animals going in and out. And obviously some animals are there for a short time and some are there for a little bit longer. So, you know, if we can do something to make their stay there until they're adopted a little more pleasant, then I think that's great. So again, we'll just be making, you know, something that they can, you know, dogs can, my dog has one and he kind of chews on it. It's a smaller one, but they can also use them just on the bed, something soft. You know, the floor's in there if you've ever been in there. Just for care and maintenance, it's easier if it's a harder concrete floor that they can rinse off. And so it's nice to have something soft for them. So this is what we're gonna be working on today. So I'm gonna stop for just a second, get things situated, and we'll get started right away. And feel free to watch the video as much as you'd like. I'm also gonna include some links to some sites, some other videos or sites that are good. And there's one in particular that I'm going to put a link to because they are really good about showing some of the basics on for a left-handed person. So having a left-handed daughter myself, I know that can be a little hard to translate sometimes. So I will include those also in the information below the video, so that in case you want to watch that, see if that's a little more clear for you if you're left-handed than what I'm doing. Otherwise, we will get started here and start working on our animal shelter blankets. Okay, everyone. So today we're going to learn some basics about crochet. You can see that I've done just a small rectangular type blanket. You could make yours more square if you wanted. This is made from almost one full skein of the yarn. So if you want to do yours, you can make it the same kind of process. In your kit, you will notice that you got a sheet about the crochet hook sizes. And just to let you know, these are the different sizes. Now, Crochet UK and US have different terms and different ways of doing things. So you'll see here, you might be able to see on your hook that there's a measurement there where you kind of hold the hook. And this one is a 5.5, so it's an I hook.
And I'll show you on the yarn how you can tell what size hook to use or give you an idea of what you might want. But we're gonna use this hook. And then you'll also notice on your yarn, it has a wrapper on it, and it tells you a little bit about the yarn, what it's made of. One thing that we looked at for these particular is that they can be machine wash and dry. So for something like the animal shelter, that's great in case they need to wash them. This is a medium yarn. Each yarn has a number. One would be a finer type yarn, and as they go up in number, it would get to be the thicker, chunkier yarns. And then you'll see two boxes, usually two, and there's one for knitting and one for crocheting. So this is the crochet hook. And basically what it's telling you is if you do 12 single crochets and you do 15 rows across, it should be about a 4" by 4" little sample. And so that gives you an idea as you're learning, are you doing your crocheting too tight, too loose, just to help you. I have a tendency to be a very tight crocheter, so I know for me to get that size, I'm probably gonna have to do more crocheting, more actual single crochets. So that just gives you an idea of what it says on the yarn. And then of course you have the washing, drying. Sometimes you'll also have what's called a die lot. So if you were doing a large project and had to buy multiple ones, if it has a die lot number, you would want to make sure that you have that same number, because that means they're going to be have sat in the die or so forth. The process has all been done at the same time, so you're going to have similar shades and things like that. You won't have one that's all of a sudden really bright. And then over here, it tells you the weight of the yarn, but that's really hard sometimes to figure out with projects how much you would need. So the best thing to look at is the yards, how many yards of yarn. So this one has 364 yards. You'll also notice here it says 5.5 millimeters. That's the crochet hook size. So that's gonna match the one we're using here. You can go up or down depending on how you crochet. It's just something, you know, that's kind of the average, and that's how you would get the 4 by 4" with that size. If you change hook size, it's not gonna match those numbers, just to let you know. I showed you this one because it's got the label, but I'm actually gonna do the teaching part in the pink, because that black, when you're doing it, is hard to see and see how it all works. So the first thing you're gonna wanna do, and you can pull from your yarn either on the outside or in the middle. I prefer to pull from the middle, because if you pull from the outside, every time you get to the end, it's gonna roll away from you. And so if you do it from the middle, there we go. If you do it from the middle, it just pulls straight out, and you might have to stop it a little bit, but it's not gonna roll. So that, to me, makes it a little easier. You're also gonna wanna have your scissors. At the end, we're going to be using the plastic to work on finishing our project. You could use a tape measure if you're wanting to make something in a certain size, or if you want to practice and know, you know, you need to do 12 across, you know, 15 rows to figure out the gauge, to figure out how you're doing as far as crocheting. That would also help you. And then you're also gonna have, and these look like teeth flossers, but they're not. They are to thread your needle. It kind of looks like the needle, but yarn sometimes can be hard to get in a needle because it's got so many twisted strands in it, it'll start to fray. So we're gonna use that to help us. It might be kind of hard to see. It's kind of green. It does look like a flosser, but it does not smell like mint, I promise. So we're gonna start with just some simple basics. So you can hold your hook a couple of different ways. You can hold it more like a pencil, if you would like, or you can hold it more like a knife. So that's gonna be whatever's comfortable for you, and you may find a different way to hold it that's more comfortable for you. So every project is gonna start with a slip stitch. And the nice thing about this slip stitch is that it's easy to undo, and you may do this over and over for a little while just to kind of practice. So here's the short end of the yarn, and then you've got the yarn that's attached to the ball. we're going to put that in our hand like this, and you're gonna wrap it around your finger once like that. You're gonna pull the back one over this front one, but still keep it on your finger. And then you're gonna take that back one and pull it all the way over the tip of your finger. And then you're gonna have your knot, and you can just tighten it up, and you're ready to go. So here's the nice thing about the slip stitch, and with any stitches that you do, you can undo it and we'll practice again. So you put it in your hand there. You wrap it around once on your finger and twice on your finger, and then sometimes you can hold it that way too to keep it from, you can hold it with your thumb so it won't slip. Pull the back one over but not off, and then pull this back one over and pull it all the way off. Put your hook in, and you're gonna tighten it. So that's your basic slip stitch, slip knot. Actually more of a slip knot. Slip stitch is a little bit different, but so that's gonna get you started. That's always gonna be how you start. So you can do that over and over, and you can undo it if you have any kind of issues. Sometimes you're going and you're like, wait a minute, I don't remember what I was doing. So you just undo it and start over. And again, no big deal. Now for the yarn, some people, you see my hand here, some people put it through their pinky and their ring finger and then through and around. And then you use your fingers to kind of tighten it, and you can use this finger, you can move it to change the tension. Some people want it much tighter, so you also can wrap it around this pinky and then go up and over, and that's just gonna make it a little bit tighter. And again, that's up to you. And then you're gonna wanna hold this little, and you'll see I've left a little space there. It's not super, super tight against the needle or against the hook. And the reason being, when you do another stitch, you're gonna pull that back through. So you need to be able to get it in and out. And depending on how complicated the stitch is, as you learn more stitches, it gets even more, you need to make sure you have room for it. So you're just gonna wanna have a little bit of space in there so that if you turn your hook like this, you can get it out, in and out, okay? And you're gonna hold it between that thumb and that middle finger, and that way you can move this one around to change the tension. So the first thing you're gonna do in every project is do a chain. This is gonna be, a lot of times they call it your foundation chain, and a lot of patterns start with it, and depending on the width of your project, they'll say start with 20 chains, start with 50 chains, start with 100 chains. And you'll see that I gave you a chart, and you'll see down here are the different types of blankets and throws, and then you'll see how wide it would be, either with no drape, meaning that it doesn't really hang over the edges, or with drape. And then you'll see the different hook sizes up here. So we're doing the 5.5. So depending on what size blanket you wanted to do, you would choose which one. Now, most of the blankets that are for shelters and things and for pets are in this 36 range, like a toddler's Afghan. So that would be with no drape, because we don't care about it being draping on a bed. It's 126 chains. We're not gonna start with 126, don't worry. We're gonna learn and just kind of practice, but that's how you would know what to start with. These are the chain counts you would start with for any kind of blankets. Obviously from the smallest cradle to a receiving blanket for babies, a full baby blanket, crib, all the way down to a California king bed. So that kind of gives you an idea of what the chains would be. And they also tell you approximately how many chains that is per inch, or stitches per inch, so it's 3.5 for our hook. Again, it's gonna depend on whether you are more of a tight crochet. So for me personally, if I were doing the 36 and it's 126 chains to start, I might actually do more than that, or take measurements as I go, knowing I want it to be 36 inches. So again, either between your finger or wrap it around and over your pointer finger, and then you're gonna hold it right here. Now my yarn's a little loose, so I'm gonna kind of pull back here in the end. And so to do the chain, all you do is turn your hook and pull it through. And that's gonna make your one chain. So now you've got one, and then you're gonna turn your hook, grab that yarn, and see I did that one a little too tight, so let me try and loosen it up a little bit. There we go. And pull it through. And that's why you wanna have a little bit of space. So we have 2 so far. So then you would go through and pull it through. And you're just gonna continue to do that all the way down your chain. Now, I'm gonna show you something because I've done really bad. I'm gonna show you, like here, I've got one that's really kind of larger. I've got one that's a little bit tighter. So you just wanna keep practicing until you can get more even all the way across. So I can undo that, do some more practicing, pull that over my finger, and go back to this beginning. Hold this between my, I pulled a little bit tighter. There we go. Hold that between my middle finger and my thumb, and then just scoop it through. Move my fingers up to hold it. Scoop it through. Put the wrap it around and pull it through. And you're just going to keep doing that all the way down. And again, if I were going to do a specific item and I thought, oh, I really want it to be this size, and I don't, will I know how wide and things like that, you can use that sheet as kind of a guide. But again, you may want to place it down and just get your tape measure, and you can look and see, okay, I've done almost 3 inches now, and you can, if you're counting your chains, you would know how many you have. So you would just keep going across. Now, when you're counting your chains, you're counting as you go. You do not count the one that's on the hook. So in this case, you would be, and you can see they've got kind of a V shape to them. So you would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That very last one, you can see the yarn coming through, but we're not counting this one here. So we're at 12 right now. So if we wanted to, say we wanted to do 12 more, we would do pull through, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And there you go. And you're gonna kind of play around with the yarn a little because it'll curl and things like that as you're working. Now, if you pull on this end where you did the slip stitch, it's not gonna come undone, so don't be nervous. But if I wanted to redo it, I can pull from the other end and it'll all come undone. So that would be how you do your basic chain for your foundation, and they call that the foundation. And what that basically is your edge here on your blanket. And that's where we're gonna build off of. So the stitch that we're really gonna focus on is the single crochet, because this entire piece is only the chain and the single crochet, and that's it. This is nice because it's a nice tight weave, and it may feel a little stiff as you're going and you're thinking, oh, that's not very soft, but once you wash it, it'll loosen up a little and feel much softer. But it's a nice tight one. You don't have to worry about animals getting claws and things stuck in it. They can chew on it a little, and it's not gonna, it would be hard for them to really do any major damage to it. And this is, it just gives them something nice to either play with or to lay with, or it's just something a little soft and, more, gives them that loving feeling. So more than just a bed, or a floor. So when you are going to start your single crochets, you are going to always start with one chain, and that's going to give you the matching height so that it doesn't have a slant as it's going into the row, and that'll give you the height you want for it. So you're going to always do, let me get my yarn ready, you're going to do one extra chain. So I had 12 and 12, so I had 24, so now I added one extra chain, so it'd be 25. And then you are going to start your row, and right where that chain is, right here, you are going to go ahead and do your first stitch. So you're going to go right in here, and you're going to put your hook through, and you're going to yarn over, which is what we call this, where we pull the yarn around the hook. You're going to pull it through, yarn over, and pull it through both. Oop, and my hook came out. That's okay. Sometimes that happens. These metal hooks can be a little slippery at times. So let's see the next one. So we're going to go into this next loop right here at the top. You're going to go through the loop, yarn over, pull through, and you may have to kind of move your fingers to hold it real well. Yarn over and pull through both. And you can see I'm kind of using my finger to help hold and to do the stitch. Let's do another one. So you're going to go through there, yarn over, pull through one, and then you're going to yarn over, and see, I may have done those a little tight, but that's okay, it made it through. Yarn over, pull through two. You're going to go through, yarn over, pull through one, and yarn over, pull through two. Told you I'm a tight crocheter. Let me get some more yarn here free. Just going to pull some through. I have a dog that sits that's around while I do this, so I don't pull too much yarn at once just because I don't want him to do anything. Especially true if you have a cat, I'm sure, but I don't have one. So you can see you're starting to get these stitches across. So you're going to go through the loop at the, you'll see it's like a V shape, these two stitches. There's another one. So you're going to go through that top loop, yarn over, pull through once, yarn over, pull through both. And you're going to do that all the way across. So you're going to go through, yarn over, pull through once, yarn over, pull through twice. And you'll see I hold mine more probably, well, it's kind of a combination of the pencil and the knife, and whatever's comfortable for you. So you're going to go through the top loop, yarn over, pull through once, yarn over, pull through twice. So that's going to give you your basic single crochet stitch. So I'm just going to take a minute and I'm going to go through and do these. And again, you can totally undo this right now from where you're at and start over. I would practice the chain stitch until you can get that foundation stitch pretty even. And you'll get faster and smoother and again, more even as you just do it. It just takes practice. And once you learn these basic stitches too, you get to the point where you can, be doing it watching TV or listening to something on the radio or an audiobook, please. You can get some audiobooks or I know there's a lot of books coming out as movies lately, so you can watch one of those. Or watch something you already know well. I have a tendency to do that because then if I miss something, it's not a big deal. I gotta love reruns. So you just go all the way to the end. Again, yarn over, pull through once, yarn over, pull through both, yarn over, pull through once. You'll have 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through both of those. And you can see it's curling a little. That's okay. It's just the yarn and the way you're working it. It might curl one way, might curl the other, might do a little curly cue. It seems to be the thinner the yarn, it will curl more. I was actually doing a crochet thread project, and that curls a lot. So not a big deal. You just kind of want to keep it out of your way, and no big deal. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you when you get to the end here, this next row is going to be what the rest of the blanket is, and it's going to be just a little bit different because now you've got a stitch below what you're doing instead of just the chain. So I'm going to show you what to do for that. So I'm just going to keep going, pull through 2, through the top loop, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. That's a single crochet. If you ever look at any patterns or anything online and you want to go, I'm just starting, can I do this one? It'll say single crochet in the pattern, but it'll also have the symbol, which is SC for single crochet. So there is your first row. And you've got a little curve at the end, that's okay. And then you've got this. So when you're going to your next row, you're actually going to flip this. Try not to let your hook fall out, but it's no big deal if it does. And you're going to do this again. So we're going to start the same way we did the last time. So you're going to do 1 chain. So I've got 1 chain to give me that height for the row. And then I am going to go through this first stitch. Now, you will see, if you look at the kind of the top of the stitch, you'll see that it's like a V shape. And you actually want to go through both of those. Now, there might be a pattern that tells you to go through one or the other, but for just your basic single crochet stitch, you're going to go through both of them. So where your chain is, you're going to go in right there. And you're going to see it almost looks like you have 3 because you've got your 2 from your V right there. And you have the one here. So you're going to do the same single crochet. You're going to pull through that V. So now you have just 2 loops. And then you're going to go through and pull through both of those. Again, you're going to go through that V. So it's going to almost look like you're going through the center here. So you've got that V shape right there. I hope you can see that. And you're going to yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over, pull through both. We're going to do that again. So go through the V. You should have 2 there and 1 here. Yarn over and pull through that V. So you have 2 loops, yarn over, pull through both. And you're just going to keep doing that all the way down. Now this is just going to give you your basic stitch, your basic single crochet. You can learn, there are so many stitches to learn. There's some that are wider, there are some that are taller, there's some that have more space between them, there's some where you would do it multiple times in one hole. So there's different ways to do it, but we're just going to learn the basic stitch here. So in, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through both of those. Now you may be thinking, okay, I just did one and it doesn't look like the one next to it. And you might think, oh, that doesn't, something's not right. You can actually take your hook out and say, I made a mistake there and I want to go back to here. You can actually pull this out, put your hook back in. Hopefully you have more room than me because you're not as tight of a crocheter. And then go again. And you can just go through those 2 and go through 1. And then go through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, go through your V again, yarn over, pull through, and do 2. Oops. Pull through. And the first time you do your chain, it's probably gonna look all kinds of crazy. You're gonna have some big ones, some little ones. You're gonna have to learn to hold the yarn. That takes a little while to get the tension right for you. Again, just to start, you may want to wrap it around that pinky so it's not slipping around so much. Also, we're just using a basic aluminum hook. They do make them with more of a rubberized type handle or a wooden handle, things like that, that might slip a little less. You could even put something around this one if you wanted. If you have like one of those rubber pencil guides, that kind of thing, you could even use that. And so you're just gonna pull through two, go through. See, if you do it really tight, it makes it hard to get the hook through. Something to keep in mind. Pull one and then go through both. Through the hole, yarn over, pull through two. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through two. And you're gonna go all the way to the end again. And I'm gonna show you. I'm just gonna keep going. And again, I'm going to, I will also put some links to some particular sites that I think are good. One in particular, it's called the Crochet Crowd. They have a website and a YouTube channel. Their website has a lot of patterns, but so does their YouTube channel, where they link to the pattern and they show you how to make something. Oh, I only went through one loop, so I'm gonna go back and do that. But he also has videos that are for left-handers. So if you are left-handed and you're trying to translate this and you're starting to get frustrated or it's just not transferring right, I have a left-handed daughter, I understand, then I will include that link and you may want to watch their videos. He does not go too fast and he's pretty good at explaining. And again, because he's doing it left-handed, it might help a little to just visually see that. So you're gonna get all the way to the end here and you're gonna see, it kind of just looks like a big cluster here. There is actually, you can see, if you look at the top, you can see that there's a V there. So you're gonna try and get it in that V, and it might take a little bit. There we go. So you've got that V right there. There's that V. You're gonna pull it through and then pull it through both. And again, you're gonna turn it and you're gonna do a chain one, and then you're gonna go back the other way. It's important that you do that chain because it gives you the height so that eventually, and this one's, you know, pulled a little because of the original chain, but you'll have that nice, somewhat straight edge there on your project. So now I'm going to jump ahead to how you would finish it, but you would keep doing this until you got to the length you wanted. As you're going, you're gonna wanna keep an eye on how much yarn you have because you don't wanna have to stop in the middle of the row. But basically what you're going to do when you get to the end is you're either going to just go towards the end until you have a little bit of a tail, or you're gonna cut it. So I'm gonna cut my end here. And when you would get to your last stitch, whether it's at the end or somewhere else, I'm gonna undo this chain because that's gonna give a little hump at the end. So you have this, and you're actually going to do what's called a slip stitch, what I was calling the slip knot, but the slip stitch, and you're just gonna hook it, pull it through, and you're just gonna pull it all the way through and tug on that, and that's gonna make your knot. So that's gonna be your end of your strand. Now, there's a couple of ways to thread your needle. This one has a pretty large hole, so it wouldn't be as bad to get the yarn through. You can see I can get it through pretty well. The other option is you can use your needle kind of to make a tight, you fold it over the needle like that, and then you can get it through that way. And then I've also included this yarn threader, kind of looks like a floss piece. You put your yarn through that, and then you just take the point, put it through the hole of the needle, and pull it through that way. And that's it. So that's what you would do with that. Now, to finish off your project, it's already knotted, so you don't really have to worry about it coming undone or anything, but what you can do is just weave this in your project a little bit just to give it some extra security and so that you don't have a frayed end sticking out. And you would just pull it through there. And this needle kind of has a large eye. You could use a smaller one if you wanted. Just make sure you don't pull through too tight. And then you can just trim it off. So you can do that. Now, if you're using a thicker yarn, or you want to hide it even more and keep it more secure, I'm going to show you from this end. Especially if you're using a thicker yarn, because if you wove just a really thick yarn through that, it might be a little, it might add some bump and things. So the yarn comes with different threads. So like this one has 4 different threads. You can split that in half, and then you could use your needle to weave, say, one on one side and one on the other, or one towards the top and one towards the bottom, just to give it that extra security, and also to just keep it nice and smooth, because that would be a finer piece that would be going through there. So that would be another way that you could finish it off. Just split that yarn and then weave it through. And then when you're done, you can wash it and lay it out to dry. Now, normally you could dry it in the dryer, but you may want to lay it out just so you can kind of shape it. You can see that I haven't washed this one yet, so I've got ends that kind of curl a little. You can see it's kind of curling, and it's got like a little bit of weaviness to it. But you can take this and kind of, you know, while it's still damp and you're laying it out, you can either lay it out that way, or you could put it in the dryer till it's just a little bit damp left, and then shape it. You can hand wash them, but a lot of people, you know, that's a lot of work to do. But that way you can kind of shape it and make sure it's not, you know, twisting and things like that, and get it a little flatter like that. You also could put it in a towel and roll it to get it nice and dry. But mainly the reason to pull it out like that while it's still a little damp is just to shape it and make sure that it's not got any, you know, so it won't curl and things like that. As you learn, you could add things like a border to it, or tassels or things like that. And there are many resources to learn that. But today we're just going to go over the basics so that you can hopefully make something to donate to the animal shelter. You are welcome to make whatever you'd like. You don't have to donate, but we will be taking donations all summer. So if you would like to include something, please just drop that off at our library, and we'll make sure it gets to the animal shelter. It's not something that the animal shelter knows we're going to bringing them by. I haven't told them that. This was just kind of a project I wanted to do. Personally, I felt like it was a good one, and so we'll be dropping those off later. But I just wanted to let you know, and I hope you enjoyed and have learned this stitch. Again, you're welcome to watch this video as many times as you need. Pause it, try it, watch it through once, then do it again. And I'll also include some links again to some sites that are good, and some videos that are good for learning. And then we also, of course, have the books that I suggested, and I hope you'll join us for our next program, and I'll have more information about that in just a moment. Thank you. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us, and I hope you enjoyed the lesson and are starting to learn the basics of crochet. Again, we only learned a couple of basics and stitches, but that should be enough to at least help you get started. You could do something simple, a scarf, a blanket, for a gift for someone, or for a donation like we are. I just wanted to, thank you again for joining us. Let you know that, as you saw before the video started, we do have some different books. That was only a small selection. We do have additional books. This Teach Visually, we have a couple of these in different crafts, and even they make them for computer programs, all that. They are very nice because they do have very good pictures that you can follow along. So that might be something you'd want to check out if you just want to either expand your skills, or maybe seeing it in a picture and reading it is easier than watching a video. Everybody's a little bit different. And I also want to remind you to register for our next program. The program next week is actually going to be an online escape room, so you can just go online. You don't have to register, and you can do it as many times as you want. It's going to be a Jumanji escape room, so keeping with that animal theme. Don't want you to get run over by elephants or anything, but that's, going to be our escape room, and that'll be available for teens and adults, and we'll have that up next week. The week after that, we're going to do book folding, and so I wanted to show you, this is one of the ones we have on display, and then this is one of the other ones. So this one here is the koala. Sometimes it's easier to see from a distance. And this one here
see if I can get the light right so you can see that it's an elephant. This one is a fold only. So on each page, you're just making 2 folds. And then this one here is a cut and fold. So you are making multiple cuts on a single page and then making multiple folds. And you can decide which way you want the picture to stick out or kind of recess in. That will be in the videos. But if you go online and register for this program, you will choose preferably which one you would like. This one obviously is going to be a little easier. This one's going to take a little longer and is a little more detailed work. But they're both great. And for each one, I've given you choices of animals. So if you can put your top 3, that will help me make sure we've got a book that's the right size for you, plus the pattern for you in your kit that you pick up. And then I will have a video for each one, so you don't have to watch both videos unless you just want to. And I will also tell you where you can get some more patterns, because these patterns are free. There are sites that sell them, but we also have access to a site that has some free ones. We focused on the animal ones, but they have a bunch of different ones, and different types of animals, like if you want to do Mickey Mouse's head or something like that. So we will make sure and share those, but if you could register for those so we can make sure we have the right length book, because different patterns have different amounts of pages you need, and then also so you can tell us which animal you would prefer, so that we can make sure you get something that you'll enjoy and can either give as a gift or put on your own bookshelf. So if you'll register for that, that would be great. And again, next week is the escape room. You could start doing that next week. You could share that, do it as much as you want. And then this one will be in 2 weeks. So we look forward to seeing you. I hope you enjoyed this video. And please, we are pretty close to regular hours, 10 to 6, Monday through Friday, and 10 to 1 on Saturday. So please come visit us. We're glad to see people again, and we do currently are requiring masks in the library, but other than that, come on in and look around, get some books for summer reading or just for fun. And don't forget to put in your tickets for reading so that you can be entered into our drawings. And hopefully we'll see you come in soon, and don't forget to register for our other programs. Thank you.